G'day. I'm Tim Dwyer and...
G'day, Sarah Goodwin.
G'day, I'm Michael Wybrow. Welcome to IEEE VIS 2023 in Melbourne, Australia. So it's my great pleasure to introduce Uncle Tony Garvey, Wurundjeri Elder, here to give a welcome to country on his traditional lands. Please make him welcome.
First of all, thank you very much for that warm welcome, and thank you all for inviting me here today, and also thank you for the sponsors of the event for us being here today as well. I'd like to start off with saying Wurundjeri to everyone. Wurundjeri in the Wurundjeri Wurrung language means welcome. So welcome to all Indigenous and non-Indigenous people here today. I'd also just like to say I'm very proud and honoured to be here today, standing tall for my people once again, like I have done for 35 years and will continue to do so for the rights of their country. My great-grandfather was the last Nurrungita. Nurrungita in the Wurundjeri Wurrung language means last head tribesman living on the lands out at Corrindurk on the Burrarung on the mission where I live today. He took over from my uncle. My great-uncle was King Barak. King Barak was our fearless leader that took on the government in the 1800s, right up till 1903 when he passed. The Wurundjeri people, they are also a part of the Kulin Nation. So Kulin means man. In the Kulin Nation, we had the 5 language groups. We had the Wadawurrung to the west, the Coorong, who were the westerly neighbours to the Wadawurrung, Tanarong to the northeast, Bunurong to the southwest, and the Wurrung of the Wurundjeri territory that we stand on here today. The Wurundjeri lies within the cities of Melbourne, extends from the mountains of the Great Dividing Range, south of the Yarra River to the Mordialloc Creek, west to the Werribee River, and east to Mount Baw. The Wurundjeri people, they have a social totem. It is Bunjil the eagle. Bunjil represents spiritual powers throughout many parts of Australia. Bunjil taught all the laws about life, behaviour and ceremonies to make sure that our culture would continue for all walks of life throughout Australia. So Bunjil was referred to as the creator of mankind. Bunjil created great people from the land. That is why we call the land our mother, or the mother of creation. Never can the land be taken away. The land will always belong to Aboriginal people, as we are part of the land and the land is part of us. Our story is similar to the European people. Theirs is by their chosen faith, ours is by the dream time. We both have creators and beliefs, and ours is Bunjil. It is a traditional custom of the Australian Aboriginal communities to be asked and to give permission for people to enter their lands. And today you've now joined with me to honour the spirits of my ancestors, past, present and emerging, who have nurtured these lands for over 60,000 years. And we, as the owners of the lands, offer a heartily welcome to the lands, and hope that together as citizens of this beautiful country, we can build, develop and unite stronger nations for all peoples. I'll close in the Wurrung language, which is Wurundjeri, Wandun, Wurundjeri, Balak, Huamin, Kumbibik, which means you're most welcome to the land of the Wurundjeri people. Once again, thank you very much for having me here today. Much appreciated, and have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tony. And the Birrawong, where we're located today on the banks of the Birrawong, was an area of meeting and discussion of ideas and congress, and it seems very fitting that we have the VIS conference held here today. So I'm very happy about this.
Okay, we are required by the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade to warn you, visitors from overseas, not to cuddle the wildlife. It is deadly. We have swept the venue for spiders and snakes, but just be careful if you reach under your seats. We are very, very pleased to have around 830 attendees at the last count. Importantly, we have lots of new attendees from places in the world that, from where it probably would have been a lot more difficult to reach VIS when it was in North America or Europe. So we're very, very pleased to be hosting VIS for the first time in the Southern Hemisphere and for the first time in this time zone. It's also very exciting for us. We have more people from our lab than ever before, and I think we have a lot of other local people also here for the first time. In your registration pack, you should have received a pocket program. The details of the Wi-Fi user and password are on that program, and so that'll be very useful for planning your week. Also be sure to visit content.ieee.org. The login was mailed to you, and from there you can create a digital plan and find all the pre-recorded presentations and PDFs.
So in our program, we've got some really exciting highlights. We welcome Dr. Drew Berry and Professor Anders Innerman to do our keynote later in the next session. This is all about visualizing the chemistry of life on giant 360-degree screens. They'll take you on a creative journey, showing how the challenges and technical insights into how they made these films. We'll also be watching the film tomorrow as part of our banquet dinner, so we're in tandem with the Melbourne Planetarium. We also welcome Professor Matt Duckham, who's doing our capstone on Friday. He's a professor in geospatial science from RMIT University. This capstone uses the map, a ultimate interdisciplinary artifact, as a lens to reflect on essential research themes between GI science and visualization. In our efforts to support equity, inclusion, and diversity, we have welcome 15 recipients for our Diversity and Inclusivity Scholarship. We have VIS Kids Childcare for the first time this year, so that allows parents to travel with their children together. So we've got 7 children being looked after by professional nannies. And we have VIS Kids Grants, who we've had 5 recipients for this year. In addition, we have a number of things for accessibility that the accessibility chairs have been working on. We have hearing loops here available for anyone who needs them. Tuesday, so now, and Friday, the main events are being human captioned, so should be available. Panels are auto-captioned during the week. We've got subtitles on our pre-recorded presentations, and there are various other things on here you can see. There's also an accessibility table in the foyer you can visit.
So, we have a number of social events this week that we're excited to welcome you to. The welcome reception already took place. I heard from lots of people who said that was a great event, so we're very happy with that. The VIS Arts program is held at the library at the Dock. That exhibition's been on display for all of October, and there's also the reception for the arts program this evening. As Sarah mentioned already, we have a screening of The Chemistry of Life on Wednesday evening at the Melbourne Planetarium. This is at Spotswood, and within about 5 minutes walk of that is our banquet venue, which is Graysland. That's a very sort of traditional Australian-style venue. It's outdoors but covered with a number of different food vendors, and you can sort of spend the evening there and then go across and watch your particular session at the planetarium. I just want to give a few reminders of information that you probably may know if you read everything that was communicated to you, but more likely don't know. The first of these is some information on getting to the arts program and the banquet, which are both off-site. Near the registration, you will see some posters that give instructions on this, as well as the information that was communicated via email. Another reminder is within the city of Melbourne itself, transit on the trams is free, and we use MyKey cards to pay for our public transport on trains and trams in Melbourne, but while in the free zone, you shouldn't use your MyKey at all. This information is on the destination page on the website. In addition, if you show your VIS badge at any of these restaurants, you will receive a 10% discount. Again, this is in your email that was mailed to you, but I wanted to point it out because a few people that have been here the last few days have not realized this. I want to spend a couple of minutes talking about the people responsible for putting the conference together. So first off, I'd like to give a huge thanks to the core committee. These people put in a massive amount of work, and we're really indebted to them for the work they put in. Then there's a Then there's a really large organising committee that, again, do a massive amount of work to make all aspects of the conference run. So you can see, close to 100 names or over that if we mention everyone. Additionally, we have a large number of student volunteers. You'll see them in these t-shirts, but also wearing the orange, what we call in Australia, high-vis vests, kind of appropriate. They're responsible for a lot of the day-to-day running of events and some of the pre-work that led to the conference. So I want to say a big thanks to them. Additionally, this event, IEEE VIS, is sponsored by the IEEE Computer Society and the VGTC. So we want to thank them. We can hold our applause, and I'll go through all of the supporters quickly, but they contribute financially to the running of the conference, so we want to give a big thanks to them. This year, we're at this amazing venue, the Convention Centre. This is possible because the Victorian Government and the Melbourne Convention Bureau provide financial support for running international events. And they were very happy for the large number of international visitors we have to the conference this year. So we'd like to thank our platinum sponsor, Tableau from Salesforce. Our banquet is sponsored by Norrköping Visualization Center. Our silver sponsors are Autodesk and Kost, King Abdullah University of Science and Technology. Our bronze education sponsors are Apple, Monash University, Faculty of Information Technology, and JP Morgan Chase & Co. Our pearl supporters are NREL, Adobe, University of Queensland, University of Melbourne, the Scientific Computing and Imaging Institute at University of Utah, Kitware, and VIS. And our exhibition supporters are Tom Sawyer and Springer Nature. Finally, I also want to say that the VIS Arts program is supported by Monash University Faculty of Art, Design and Architecture and Small Multiples. So please thank all of our wonderful supporters.
Okay, so IEEE VIS is committed to providing an inclusive and harassment-free environment in all interactions regardless of gender, sexual orientation, disability, physical appearance, race or religion. If you have any concerns or issues, please approach one of our friendly ombuds, who you can see right here, and they will help you out for sure. Next, I would like to welcome up Chen to say a few words.
Sorry for me to bring the sad news. 10 days ago, and we lost an esteemed and wonderful colleague, Professor Nigel Zezhong, and who is a major figure in the fields of VIS, VR, and medical application. Nigel was born in Gower, Swansea, Wales, UK. He left us suddenly on Saturday, 14th October 2023, just 1 week after celebrating his 60th birthday. Nigel received his BSc and a PhD from Bath University, and he held positions in AstraZeneca, Silicon Graphics, Manchester Visualization Center, and 4 professorships at Bangor University and the University of Chester. Nigel received a number of awards, including Satava Awards. This is for exceptional commitment to the improvement of healthcare through advanced technology. And the second prize of Eurographics Dirk Bass Prize, a Churchill Traveling Fellowship, and a Doctor of Science. Nigel chaired and co-chaired several conferences, including Eurographics 2008 and the Visual Computing for Biology and Medicine 2015. In 2009, Nigel and his Welsh colleagues established the Penn-Wells Research Institute for Visual Computing, RIVIC. Nigel was the co-director of the institute. He was elected as a Eurographics Fellow in 2009 and a Fellow of London Society of Wales in 2014. Nigel was kind, passionate, inspiring. Nigel will be sorely missed. With the VIS 2023 conference, send our deepest sympathies to Nigel's family at this particular sad time. If I have a slide advance for once. Okay. Conference, please join us a moment of silence as we remember and celebrate the life of Nigel Zezhong. Thank you very much.
And now we'd like to welcome Deborah up to say a few words on behalf of the VSC.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the Visualization Steering Committee, I'd like to welcome everyone to the VIS 2023 conference. The task of the IEEE VIS Steering Committee, or VSC, is to provide long-term scientific and organizational oversight of IEEE VIS. And for more information about the VSC and all of our minute notes, you can go to the conference website. Here are the 2023 Visualization Steering Committee members. Some of us are transitioning off, and others are coming in. We'd also like to thank the 2023 Area Curation Committee for the conference. And most important, for anyone who has any questions, want to find out more about the VSC, you can come to the VIS Town Hall, and you can ask the IEEE VIS governing bodies any question. It's on Wednesday, tomorrow, at 8 a.m., very early, because this is going to be a hybrid meeting, both in person and online. So we tried to make it a little earlier for all those attending who are not here in Australia. And you can send advanced questions to the website listed. So on behalf of everyone.
Have a great VIS, welcome, and now we have the VGTC Awards.
Okay. Good morning. Before we get on with the awards, can I ask everyone to thank the conference chairs? It's a tremendous amount of work, I know, and this has been a great conference so far, and I just want to take a second to thank them for the great job they've done. So I am standing in for Chuck Hansen, who was this year's VGTC 2023 Awards Chair. I will be taking over as Awards Chair starting next year, so send in your nominations. If you have ideas, please contact me. And so this year we're giving out the Dissertation Award, the Significant New Researcher Award for early career accomplishments, the Technical Achievement Award, where there will be 2 awardees, the Lifetime Achievement Award, the Service Award, and inductees into the Visualization Academy. So again, make sure to nominate. There's lots of good work people are doing, and if you have any questions and you're unsure about whether to nominate someone, just send us email, and we'll be happy to give you advice and tell you how to do the process, and there'll be more of that later. So the first award that we're giving out today is the Visualization Dissertation Award, and the chair for this committee was Barbara Kozlikova, and the committee members can be seen there. There were 11 nominees. Each of the dissertations were reviewed by 3 members of the committee, and they came to a consensus for the awardee this year. And the awardee is Aoyu Wu, who unfortunately is unable to be here this year due to a visa issue. But if we could give Aoyu a round of applause. And the committee also had 3 people who were honorable mention awardees for the Dissertation Award, Alex, Menna, and Zezhong. And again, let's thank them for the great job that they did. Okay. So this year, for the Visualization Significant New Researcher Award, the committee was chaired by Shisho Liu. You can see the committee members there. There were 10 nominations. And again, in nominating people, for as large of our community is, 10 isn't a huge number, but they're all very deserving people. So just make sure you really consider nominating people, because that makes sure we get the best people getting the awardees. And so with the 10 nominations, the committee went through a voting process. They reached consensus of the 2 awardees this year, who are Leilani Battle for contributions to interactive data-intensive systems for exploratory data analysis, and for Matthew Key for contributions to visualization and communicating uncertainty. So now, Leilani, if you'd like to come up and say a few words, and if we can switch to her presentation.
So how do I work this with this? Okay, can you hear me okay? All right, awesome. So hi, everyone. Good morning. I'm Leilani Battle, and I'm assistant professor at the University of Washington. I co-direct the Interactive Data Lab with Jeff Hare, and I'm also part of the UW database group. And it's an honor to receive this award today. Thank you to the awards committee and the community for recognizing me in my research for this, through this award. So just really quick, my research focuses on building intuitive and easy-to-use tools for exploring large, complex data sets. And something that I love to do is study how analysts use these tools so that we can take those insights and build them right back into the tools to make them even better. So I have a ton of people to thank today and not a lot of time or screen real estate to do it. So think of these slides as my best effort at trying to recognize everyone. So first, I'd like to thank all of the advisors and mentors I've had over the years in visualization, HCI, and databases. With the kind of work that I do that straddles multiple areas, it's really, really hard to do it by yourself. I would argue it's almost impossible. So thank you so much to all the mentors I've had and the mentors I will have in the future for helping me do this work. And of course, I could not have done this work without the help of my graduate and undergraduate advisees, especially the first batch of advisees who worked with me at the University of Maryland and also continued to work with me after I moved to UW. We were the bad lab before we merged with the Interactive Data Lab, and we did awesome stuff, so I wanted to recognize that. Thank you to everyone who helped me along the way. I've also had just a ridiculous number of collaborators over the years too, and thank you so much to every single one of you who worked with me, and all of the wonderful, thoughtful conversations and feedback and contributions that y'all made to the work that it did. I also want to recognize the organizations that have supported my research and my career as a faculty member, including the National Science Foundation, Adobe, VMware, Oak Ridge Associated Universities, the Alfred P. Sloan Foundation, and then also the University of Washington and the University of Maryland. I'm especially thankful to the University of Maryland for helping me kickstart my career as an assistant professor, and then also to UW for allowing me to continue doing the research that I love back home close to the people that I love. For example, my husband and I, we just bought a house that happens to be right next to my parents' house. So I see it as a blessing. Some folks in the audience might see it as a curse. Time will tell. But last and not least, I really want to thank my family and my friends, and especially my husband, Ray, for all of the support they've given me over the years. Without them, there would be no me. So I'm eternally grateful to all of the love and support that they've provided. Sorry, I'm getting a little emotional. So the last thing I really want to say here is that over the years, I've really had to teach myself to think bigger and dream bigger than the people around me expected for me. Even as far back as like high school, grade school, I was just shocked at like how little people expected me to do, and I always wanted to do more, and I felt like that was a really big part of why I am here today. So I just want to encourage all of you, at whatever stage you're in your career, to start dreaming bigger or to continue dreaming big, because you're always capable of more than people expect of you, and to surround yourself with people who dream big as well, so they can push you when you have doubts or when you're not sure of yourself. So again, thank you so much to everyone who's contributed to supporting me in receiving this award. And enjoy the conference. Thank you.
So now, Matthew, if you'd like to say a few words.
I think theoretically I have a slide that's going to show up, but I'm honored, like Leilani, to receive this award. Since my slide's not there, that's fine. I only had one anyway. Mostly I just wanted to thank all of the people who've mentored me, all of my students, current and former students and postdocs. I think one of the things that was interesting for me was I was really like an HCI person until probably the last year or two of my PhD. So I was at the University of Washington, and I was taking a class with Jeff Hare, and I had an idea for a VIS paper, and he wasn't my advisor, and I just said like, oh, here's like a thing I might want to do. And he said, sure, like that's fine, that's cool, let's do that. And that was sort of like one of my early experiences with folks in the community. And from that point forward, my experience has been that the VIS community has been consistently and incredibly welcoming. The folks who organize the early career VIS summer camp for early career faculty, like Christy Potter and Carlos Scheidegger and Josh Levine and Remco Chang, I think those four were the ones organizing it when I was coming up. You know, I was still a very early VIS researcher, not really that big in the community, and you know, they recognized me and then brought me into this wonderful group of early career faculty and mentored and supported people and kind of grew us all up. And then, you know, I worked a lot with Jessica Huamin. I've collaborated with her for many, many years. And then we started this thing called the Midwest Uncertainty Collective, which at the time was a kind of like funny idea where she was working at Northwestern and I was working at the University of Michigan, and we were like, why don't we make a cross-institutional lab, even though that is formally like nonsensical. And then at some point I moved to Northwestern, we all kind of merged together, and this is my half of the Midwest Uncertainty Collective. And all of my students and postdocs, current and former, are absolutely amazing. And so I thank them especially for helping me do good work. I'm going to particularly point out Wang, who's on the job market and is preposterously brilliant. She is giving a best paper talk later today, so you don't need me to convince you that she's amazing. Just go to the talk and you'll realize that she's like a one-person research machine. Who else do I want to thank? I want to thank my partner, Barry, for his love and support and continual patience through dissertations and paper deadlines and moving twice and all of that. I want to thank Eitan Adar for mentoring me for 4 years at the University of Michigan as new faculty. I think there was someone else I wanted to thank. There's too many people. Before all of this, Leilani said, oh, we should, like, you know, when we're making our little speeches, we should, like, think of something more interesting to say than just, like, thank you, right? And I think she did a much better job of probably what I'm about to do. But I think that, again, in this theme of the VIS community being very welcoming, one of the other memorable experiences that I have is when I was an AC on the Kai visualization subcommittee when it was chaired by Nicholas Elmquist and Bangchin Lee. They instilled in that committee this sort of ethos, which was to build up each other's work, right? To look for the good in the work that we're all doing, and not to spend a bunch of time critiquing and tearing down our papers, but to build up papers and make them better. And to me, that is what I see a lot in the community. And I think that we should continue to hold that ethos of mentoring each other and building up our work and making it better, and not tearing each other down. Because I think that's special, and not all academic communities have that property. Thank you.
Okay, our next award is Visualization Technical Achievement Award. This committee was chaired by Tom Ertl, and you can see the 6 members of the committee there. This year there were 12 nominations, and the committee came to a consensus for the top 2 candidates to receive the award. And the 2 awardees this year are Silvia Miksch for her outstanding technical contributions to visual analytics of time-varying data, and Huamin Xu in recognition for his broad and influential contributions to visualization research, including applications in urban informatics and human AI collaboration. So let's give them a round of applause. And so now if Silvia would come up and say a few words. And we'll move over here for a quick picture. Quick picture. Is there something? No, there isn't. It's going to be more. They didn't print it, sorry.
Okay, thank you very much for awarding me with the Technical Achievement Award, and I was really deeply honored. And I'm coming from the TU Wien, Austria, and I would like to contextualize a little bit my history and my work. I'm trained as an AI person, and at that time you called it expert system, knowledge-based system. Today you would call it knowledge graphs. And I worked closely together with medical people. And as usual, I moved around. I was at Stanford a couple of years. Then I was at the TU back. I was in Magdeburg. I was in Linz, back to TU Wien. I was at the Danube University, founded an institute, and now I'm back. Now I'm back at TU Wien, and I'm leading a group of visual analytics. And just to contextualize my idea how I came to visualization, as I mentioned, I was a person working in artificial intelligence, in symbolic AI, and I was eager to formulate treatment plans, time-oriented treatment plans. And I was working together with really cool physicians, and I was really excited about my plans, time-oriented plans, and my formalism. This looks like this. You don't have to read it. It looks like, at that time, you would call it Lisp-like notation. And I showed this beautiful plan representation language to my collaborating physicians, and they were falling asleep. And this was my really most disappointed time when I decided, okay, I have to do something. And I decided to do some visualization of, we call this ASPRO plans. And I mean, it's really horrible what I did in my beginning. Yeah? I started with visualization of this ASPRO plan, and I used metaphor graphics. Yeah? I used metaphors of traffic lights and running tracks to visualize these complex plans. Then they look like sequential plans. We had a topological view, a temporal view. This was the topological view, and this was the temporal view. And then you combined everything. It was metaphor graphics. Very colorful, but still very nice. After this experience and after I was convinced I really need to do better visualization than I did before, I started to work in a user-centered design way that I used particular visual analytics method for particular tasks, particular data, and particular goals. And my first time I was focusing mainly on time stuff. And this is a very short overview about what I did in the past. I started with network visualization, map visualization, and so on. Just to give you a clue, I did a lot of things. But I'm also very proud that now our second edition of our book about visualizing time-oriented data, together with Wolfgang Eigner, Heidrun Schumann, and Christian Tomisensky, will hopefully appear soon. And it will be open access. Therefore, it will be open for everybody. Okay, just to sum up, in the sense, what I always found very challenging is developing conceptual models for visual analytics. I did knowledge-assisted visualization. I did guidance-addressed visualization. And now I'm back to my beginning. I started with AI, and I will also work more on AI, doing some explainability or whatever you call it. And I'm very much interested in the data quality, the provenance, uncertainty, particularly in the temporal uncertainty interactions. And this is just some examples of my frameworks. And I have a couple of application domains. And I'm currently really very much in digital art history because I found it really interesting to work together with these people and developing dynamic networks for them. Of course, I have to thank also many, many people, but I decided that I don't forget anybody. I just listed here the first name of all the people I'm collaborating with. And I copied this from Jaak van Wijk. It's not my idea, it's Jaak van Wijk here. But I think it's a safe way. There is my family included, my peers are included, my role models are included, but don't search for yourself. You should be there somewhere. Okay, and I also have to thank my funding agency. You don't have to read this, but I'm really proud that I got a lot of funds for basic research and applied research, and I could only do this with my team. And last but not least, I want to thank all of you helping me to develop as I'm here now, and I want to also thank the committee giving me the trust that I deserve this honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Huamin.
Yeah, so I'm deeply honored to receive this award. So next I will show my 30 years of journey in visualization in 5 minutes. So in 1994, I first heard about the visualization by an article written by Professor Tang Zesheng at Tsinghua University. So I immediately drew to this emerging and important technology. So I began research it as much as possible. So I discovered there are 4 special issues from IEEE CG&A on visualization. So the guest editor notes especially piqued my interest in this area. So look at the title of those articles. So I feel so excited and immediately decide to work in this area. So I take a close look at the bios of those guest editors. So this is the first time I saw the photo of my future advisor, Ari Kaufman. So in 1997, I finally got the opportunity to work in Ari's lab. So I left my hometown and my wife, so went to Stony Brook. So this is 2000, I present my first VIS papers at Salt Lake City. So a memory as fresh as yesterday. So this is among the earliest photo of me with Ari Kaufman and Klaus Moller. So I really appreciate the comprehensive training I received from Ari, including numerous demos to visitors. So in 2004, I finally got my PhD. So Ari is so kind and prepared a cake to celebrate. So I knew Ari cannot attend a VIS this year, so I visited him last month and presented a gift to him, so his academic family tree, and thank him in person for all he has done for me. So after graduating, I immediately joined Hong Kong University of Science and Technology and founded my own lab, VIS Lab. So I'm very fortunate to work with some very talented students from the very beginning. Like this gentleman in the middle, so he's now is Yincai Wu. He's now a successful scholar and a professor in Zhejiang University. So in 2009, so I graduated my first 3 PhD students and also make a breakthrough in paper publication after a long struggle. So that year, I have 5 papers accepted to VIS conference. So this is a photo with my second batch of students. They are also equally very talented. So on the left is Cao Nan, on the right is Pan Pan Xu. So both of them receive Best Paper Award later by themselves, and the first from Asia. So in the middle is a Wei Wei Tree. He's a low-key guy, but he's also very talented. So look at the papers. So 4 of them have received more than 400 citations each. So this is a photo with my 3rd batch of students. So 8 of them are now become faculty members in the US, in the UK, in Singapore, in China. 6 are postdocs. So there is a junior student standing in the second row of this photo. So his name is Aoyu. So 5 years later, he received this IEEE VGTC Visualization Dissertation Award. So many years, I'm so fortunate to work with so many talented students. So my student, Jason, created my own family tree. Now with more than 100 PhD or PhD graduates, 23 of them are now faculty members. So I'm so grateful for opportunity working with each of you. So this achievement won't be possible without the ecosystem built in China. So I'm grateful for Shixia Liu, Wei Chen, Xiaoru Yuan for driving the second wave of visualization research in China. So I have more than 500 co-authors, just TVCG paper alone, more than 200 co-authors. So it's impossible to list all of them here. So I pick up a few and really thank for all the help during the journey. So I also want to thank my family, my parents, and my wife, and my daughter. So my father have a big influence on me. He always said the professor is a big job, is the best job in the world. So this actually is gave me a great faith all along the way. So my daughter and my wife, they sacrifice a lot and give me 100% support, even I spend all my time in the lab working with my student. I hope the world today can make you feel proud of me. So once again, it's a very long journey, and I'm really grateful for each one play a major role in this journey. I really appreciate the recognition from the community. Okay, thank you.
Okay, and Tamara also chaired the Visualization Lifetime Achievement Award, and you can see the committee members on this award. There were 3 nominations for the Lifetime Achievement Award, and the committee reached a consensus, and this year's awardee is John Stasko, in recognition for his seminal contributions to the value of interaction in information and visual analytics research and to the design and evaluation of software and information visualization. John could not be here today, but he sent a video that I will play now.
Hello, everyone. It was such a thrill to learn that I had been selected to receive this year's Lifetime Achievement Award. I want to thank the award committee and the colleagues who nominated me. It's a sincere honor to join the list of past recipients. I'm so disappointed not to be there in person in Melbourne, however. I think this is the first VIS conference that I've missed since about the year 2000. Wow, I bet some of the students in the audience weren't even born then. Now I really feel old. This award means a great deal to me because the VIS conference has been such a big part of my career. I first attended in 1995 when the conference was at an airport hotel here in Atlanta. I had a paper at this new symposium that had just started. It was called InfoVis. That little symposium certainly grew to become something much more significant. Subsequently, I was fortunate to be able to serve as general chair and host the conference in 2013 when it returned to Atlanta. I still proudly display my badge from that year here in my office. The conference always has been such an important part of my year. I look forward to seeing colleagues, many of whom grew to become friends over time. This year, it was an honor to return as overall papers co-chair with Yak and Tamara, 2 of those longtime colleagues and friends. It's interesting and fun how our research in some way defines us to the community. So for those of you who don't know me personally, I was originally the tango or polka guy. Then it became the sunburst or interactions or low-level tasks guy, or probably more recently, just the jigsaw guy. And you know what? I'm very comfortable with that. This slide shows a few images from a few of my projects that you might recognize. Reflecting back, much of my research has been driven by my teaching and seeking better ways to communicate important topics to students about data viz. I think there's a lesson in that for everyone. This award is also gratifying to me in that it highlights the impact of others who have contributed immeasurably. First and probably foremost are my fantastic students. I am so fortunate to have had the opportunity to work with them and see their careers and their lives bloom. Next, I'd like to thank all the colleagues in the research community whom I've collaborated with over the years. Here are a few that stand out, but there were certainly many more. And I can't forget all my past, present, and future colleagues in the Georgia Tech VIS group. Alex Endert, in particular, has been a partner in crime through practically the whole thing. And Jim Foley has been the best mentor that any faculty member could hope for. Finally, I'd like to thank my family, and especially my wife, Christy. Her love and support over the years have made this all possible. Again, thank you for this Lifetime Achievement Award. It means so much to me, and I'm honored to receive it. I hope to see all of you again next year at the conference in Tampa, and I hope you enjoy the remainder of your week in Melbourne.
Okay, our next award is the Visualization Service Award. The committee was chaired by Lisa Avila, and the 6 committee members are shown there. There were 7 people who were nominated this, spanning service to VIS, EuroVis, Pacific VIS, TVCG, and VGTC. And I'm sure for people outside of the community, those two always get mixed up. But anyway, we were very lucky to have those nominees, and the committee reached a consensus, and it's my great honor to introduce this year's recipient, Tamara Munzner, in recognition of her passionate commitment to the community for over 2 decades, including a tremendous amount of service activities you can see there, and she's had a huge influence on the community. So, Tamara.
Thank you very much. It's hard to find words because I'm so grateful to this community, and I have dumped in huge amounts of time and energy, but what I've gotten back has been tenfold. So I find that my first VIS was 1991. It was scary. It was the first conference I went to. I didn't know what to do with myself, but it was also amazing. And it was also like, well, there's people who think about this. There's actually a lot of them, and they all want to talk to each other. Wow. And so I started doing more and more organization as the years went by of things like, oh, I wish the website was up faster. I'll volunteer to be webmaster. And just this idea that you can get things and give things to a community has been really powerful. So at this point, a lot of you here at VIS are people I've known for years or decades. Some of you I've met this week, days or even hours ago. And thanks to all of you so very much.
Okay, and finally, we want to recognize the inductees into the Visualization Academy. The committee was chaired by Silvia Miksch, and you can see the committee there. There were 15 nominees this year, and the committee went through the process of selecting the inductees this year and reached a consensus. And this year's 2023 Visualization Academy inductees are Petra Isenberg, Chen, James Ahrens, Torsten Moller, and Stephen North. And if they're here, if they'd stand for a round of applause. Okay, and as I started out saying, this whole process is only successful in recognizing the outstanding contributions of people in our community through nominations. The committee doesn't choose people that aren't nominated, so please be proactive and nominate people for these awards. go to this website. If you have any questions, talk to me this week, and I can point you at the right people. And I now have the simplest email I've ever had in my life. It's just ebert@ou.edu. So feel free to send me email as well, because we want to continue to get these nominations of these outstanding individuals. And so once again, if you'd help me give all the awardees another round of applause.
Okay, thank you everybody for your patience. Just a few technical hitches there. Not Melanie's fault. She did test it beforehand and it worked just fine. So thank you everybody for your patience. It's my very great pleasure to restart the proceedings with Melanie Torrey.
All right, take two. I am delighted today to be able to introduce the VIS Test of Time Awards that are awarded to papers that make a long-standing contribution to our community. All right, so the history behind the Test of Time Awards, they were started in 2016 by InfoVis, which had 10 and 20-year awards, and VIS, which had a 10-year award. In 2017, we added 15 and 25-year awards for VIS papers. And now to try and align all of the conferences so that we're giving out awards on a regular cadence by 2031, we're going to give some multiple sort of funny year awards this year. So this year, we have 6 awards to give out: a VIS 25 years, SciVis 14 and 13 years, InfoVis 20 and 10 years, and a VIS 10-year award. And I want to start by thanking Torsten Moller, who's our Uber chair for Test of Time, who unfortunately couldn't be here, and many thanks to Laura Garrison for help with the certificates. So to get us kicked off with the VIS and SciVis awards, I want to turn it over to Liz Murray.
Hello, everyone. So for these awards, we were fortunate to have a distinguished committee formed of Issei Fujishiro, Ingrid Hotz, Penny Reagans, myself, Liz Marai, and my co-chair, Helvig Hauser. The process we followed was we received 3 sets of nominations from the Visualization Steering Committee. There are 10 candidate papers for the 25-year award, 17 for the 14-year, and 10 candidates for the 13-year. Everybody recused themselves from reviewing the conflicts of interest, and then after a first round, we reduced these 3 sets to 8 candidate papers, 2 candidate papers, and 7 candidate papers. And then we met on Zoom and we discussed in depth. Any committee member was allowed to raise for additional discussion any of the papers that had been kicked off during the first round. And then we decided unanimously on the following awards. The 25-year VIS Test of Time Award, based on the following justification. Hoppy's work proposed a sophisticated and mature solution to what 25 years ago was a burning problem: smooth terrain rendering. The mesh-based solution is as elegant today as it was in 1998. This classic and influential work, with a concrete application and presentation, is by far the most cited paper from VIS 1998. Beyond citations, this work has had a profound and lasting influence within scientific data visualization. It also broadly influenced related and further areas in computer graphics and immersive technology, such as mesh processing and augmented reality. It has been included in postgraduate textbooks and still receives citations today. The 25 years VIS Test of Time Award goes to smooth view-dependent level of detail control and its application to terrain rendering by Hughes Hoppy. Unfortunately, Hughes Hoppy could not be at the conference this year, but here's a video he recorded.
I am thrilled that this paper is receiving the Test of Time Award. Let me briefly summarize the paper. It builds on progressive meshes, a framework for level of detail control on arbitrary meshes, and view-dependent refinement, which allows adapting mesh complexity to the view frustum, shown here as the black rectangle. Very often, annoying popping artifacts are noticeable when adapting the mesh connectivity. This paper's contribution is to avoid these artifacts by introducing morph transitions. With geometric morphs, the visual experience becomes smooth as shown on the right. Another contribution is to scale the framework to large terrain height fields by defining a hierarchy of 2D blocks that maintain proper continuity at their boundaries. Here is the demo from 25 years ago, which used an elevation map near the Grand Canyon. We alternate between showing the mesh connectivity and the resulting textured surface. Mesh LOD techniques fall into three categories. This paper explored using irregular meshes. There are also techniques based on semi-regular meshing, and for terrain height fields, I really like nested regular grids. 20 years later, level of detail is still an active area. The nanite system uses irregular meshes with a hierarchy of triangle clusters designed for efficient GPU rendering. And micromeshes use regular subdivisions of an arbitrary base mesh to support efficient GPU ray tracing. Here's some fun trivia. I've had 2 papers receive Test of Time awards, and it just so happens that both these papers were initially rejected before getting published. So don't despair if your paper gets rejected, it may yet find a good home. Microsoft Research let me open source some early projects, including this one. So if you'd like, you can play with the demos I showed today by accessing this GitHub repo. Thanks again for this award, and good day.
Okay, and the second Test of Time award for this category is a 14 years SciVis Test of Time award, and it goes based on the reasoning as follows. Illustrative non-photorealistic rendering styles have become an indispensable extension of a by now rich set of expressive rendering methods that support a rich variety of purposes in data visualization, especially in the visualization of spatial and spatiotemporal data. Rendering 3D line structures is particularly difficult due to significant challenges related to depth perception, and depth-dependent halos by Everts, Becker, Rörding, and Isenberg enable the illustrative visualization of large-scale, dense collections of lines and also points at interactive frame rates by smartly choosing where to introduce a halo and where not. The authors demonstrated the generality of their technique in the context of several different applications, and also evaluated their approach in a small successful user study. Ever since this publication, this work has become a key reference for illustrative rendering techniques, establishing the smart use of halos for improved depth perception as an excellent, highly effective method. And the 14 years SciVis Test of Time award goes therefore to the IEEE SciVis 2009 paper, Depth-Dependent Halos, Illustrative Rendering of Dense Line Data by Martin Everts, Hank Becker, Jos Rörding, and Thomas Isenberg. They also unfortunately couldn't be here to take the award personally, but we have a video from them also. If we can try and play this video now.
First of all, thank you for this Test of Time award and the great honor. The starting point for our 2009 paper on depth-dependent halos was the visualization of complex brain fiber tract data, of which this is an example showing the final result. Traditionally, such three-dimensional lines were often visualized as color tubes at the time. For our approach, we took inspiration from the traditional pen and ink illustrations, like the example we show here, and it turned out to work. Development of our technique actually happened somewhat by accident. We explored various different approaches to show three-dimensional structure without using color, and as part of these tests tried to use halo techniques which are often used in illustration for visual layering. And when we made these halos depth-dependent, the structure of our complex data set automatically revealed itself. Not only for fiber tract data, but also for other types of line data, such as flow lines, and even point data. The basic principle is that the halo depends on the depth difference of the lines. And conceptually, this is realized by folding the halo part of the line strips back and letting the depth buffer do its thing. Similar approaches had already been used at the time for different kinds of visualizations. For example, Tarini et al.'s work on molecular visualization.
It's great to see that we've inspired others, not only academically, but also that the technique was used, for example, for wireframe rendering in the Unreal Engine. We ourselves have also continued to work on it and combined it with other visualization approaches to show more context, or made variants of it that are able to show more data about the depicted lines, whose ideas were then used in other work, such as this visualization of blood flow. Our technique was also employed by others in specific line-based visualization techniques, like this one by Gasteiger et al. Others extended the illustrative rendering of lines conceptually, such as the line I/O technique by Eichelbaum et al., or the work on image-based edge bundles by Telia and Ersoy. You may also have heard people talking about our paper as the spaghetti paper. Well, those were the days of elaborate fast-forward stories for VIS papers. But you should check out the full fast-forward video for an early form of physical visualization. And we even continued the fast-forward story at EuroVis a year later, so there's another video for you to see.
And finally, we'd like to share we've now gone full circle. We recently re-implemented our technique to output vector graphics, and this allows us to really go back to actual pen and ink rendering. We will share more in a future blog post where we'll post downloadable, infinitely zoomable SVG files. All four of us would like to thank you again for this Test of Time award and the honor, and we hope that our work can continue to inspire future illustrative visualization techniques.
We will definitely make sure that the awarded authors get their certificates. With that, we can move on to the 13 years SciVis Test of Time Award, which is going based on the following reasoning. Examining visualization from an information theoretic perspective is clearly a highly meaningful approach, given that visualization acts as an interface between users and their data and thus always serves the purpose of communication. The seminal work by Chen and Jennecke, or Leite, outlines a tight relation between information theory and data visualization and establishes a theoretic framework for studying visualization in terms of coding, noise, entropy, and more. Also exemplifying a number of concrete cases, including a discussion of visual mapping and the combination of overview and detail in visualization. This work impresses by a very high generality as well as its substantial power as an analytic basis for many of the more central visualization concepts. Right after publication, this work became an important foundation for further theoretic work in visualization research and represents now one of the few central perspectives on visualization theory. And we are very, very happy that Min is here to take the award. So the 13 years SciVis Test of Time Award goes therefore to the IEEE SciVis 2010 paper, an information theoretic framework for visualization by Min Chen and Heike Jennecke, or Heike Leite these days. So, Min, maybe.
Thank you very much. And Heike and I are deeply honored by the rewards. We totally didn't expect that. And we also didn't prepare any slides. Nevertheless, it's a serious paper. What do you expect? We don't have good animations. We don't have pretty pictures. We also anticipated the technical difficulties we had early on. So writing a theory paper involving a lot of discussions. And I've been, at that time, around sort of 2009, and there were early indication of information theory could be used to working with the computer graphics and the visualization. And I knew a little bit of information theory, partially because I was forced to teach data communication in my early career. And so I learned a bit of information theory, and I always tried to work on it. Then Heike worked in LabSec and on the PhD involving a fair amount of information theory. So when Heike joined Swansea as a postdoctor, and we started to talk sort of more or less randomly. And usually we have a weekly meeting, and we're supposed to talk about the Heike's main project, supposed on the video visualization, but we end up spend probably most of the meeting just talk about various things of information theory. And so our goal at that time was to try to see whether the communication, the theory related to communication could be explained, could be used to explain various sort of phenomena in visualization. Indeed, for example, we did find, and we can use information theory to explain whether redundancy in encoding, which is sometimes we have a debate in visualization whether redundant encoding is good or bad, and we have empirical studies by Penny Rannigan in the early 90s and indicating it is a good thing, but common wisdom say it is not. And the information theory can potentially explain that by consider the visualization. If you treat it as a communication, is actually a noisy communication. The noisy communication redundancy helps. And we also use information theory to explain why logarithmic diagram actually helps. Logarithmic plot is introduced a distortion, which in theory is not so nice, but actually somehow using information theory can explain why it's useful. And our big discovery at that time includes the proof, an early proof of Ben-Schneiderman's overview first detail on demand is correct, mathematically correct. And this particular proof was later improved a few years later with a slightly different way of looking at the math. And another major finding is related to the major mathematical theory called data processing inequality, which suggests any automated algorithmic-based system where only losing information, the more the process you have and the more information you're going to lose. And we noticed that the interactive visualization actually breaks the condition of that theorem. Although the theorem is correct, but if your condition is broken, that means the theory the information may not continually say just in the trend of losing information. In other words, it means interactive visualization can add information, new information into the process. And this give a hint, suggested theoretically, and we can potentially prove mathematically visualization is useful. Heike and I had a lot of discussion challenging each other about this finding. We were really uncertain. When we wrote the paper, that particular finding was kept in page 7. I believe reviewer didn't notice that. And I think we did correctly by hiding it. And then later, we noticed whenever we make a big statement in the theoretical finding, the paper usually gets rejected. So keep your good finding hidden in the page is probably maybe not a bad idea. And another thing is we did in the paper is we asked the question. We also noticed some of the concepts, such as related to the data compression, may not work very well on the explaining why visualization is useful. So we asked one big question with a illustration to indicating that didn't work. And some colleagues actually find that could potentially indicating information theory is not a good theory for visualization. And So we say, no, that's not the case. Information theory is only a framework, just a tool for us to provide the measurement. If some of the things we cannot explain, it's just we need a better mathematical formulation under the information theoretical framework. And that particular problem later lead to the future, which is perhaps more serious, the breakthrough in confirming and how visualization works, and in relation to the visual abstraction as well as the cost and the errors involving and the human may get. And we didn't prepare any slides. We didn't have a full list of colleagues we'd like to thank. But just like all the theoretical work, our job is to explain how your work, the wonderful work you did, actually are wonderful mathematically. So we would like to thank everyone in the visualization community to provide the basic evidence for our theoretical work. Thank you very much.
All right, so moving on to the InfoVis Awards. The committee was myself, Steve Franconeri, and Jason Dykes. And our process was to start with some highly cited papers from InfoVis 2003 and 2013. But we didn't just look at the citations. We did an in-depth evaluation of those papers. We read them. We read papers that cited them. And we looked at those that seemed to have a long-lasting impact. So without further ado, the winner of the 20-year InfoVis Test of Time Award is based on the following reasoning. Interactive hierarchical dimension ordering, spacing, and filtering presents a thoughtful, elegant, and powerful approach to managing complexities of high-dimensional data. A key insight is to cluster the dimensions based on a metric of similarity and extract a hierarchy which can then be exploited to enable meaningful and effective ordering, spacing, and filtering. There are rich figures in the paper that convey its approach, and citations have increased over time, showing evidence of lasting value. The paper shows how to solve a problem through interactive visualization design and presents some convincing options for future analysts and designers. These ideas underpin subsequent research on synthesizing new summary dimensions, contribute to contemporary thinking on explainability, and have influenced the design of many other high-dimensional visualization techniques. The award goes to interactive hierarchical dimension ordering, spacing, and filtering for exploration of high-dimensional data sets, and Jing Yang is here to accept the award.
Thank you, the committee, for this great honor. So I'm Jing Yang from UNC Charlotte. I'm here representing Wei and Elka, who couldn't attend the conference, and in deep memory of my advisor, Matt Ward. Matt and Elka were my PhD advisor and co-advisor when we conducted this work, and Wei was also their student at that time. The motivation of this work was the clutter problem and the difficulty in user navigation when visualizing high-dimensional data sets. The key innovation of our work was to build a hierarchy for dimensions in a high-dimensional data set and visualize it and allow users to interactively manage dimensions through this hierarchy for less cluttered data visualization. Prior to this work, Yin-Hui, Matt, and Elka proposed the hierarchical parallel coordinates. It built a hierarchy for data items, for data sets with thousands of data items, based on similarity among data items for scalable visualization. And my first work with Matt and Elka was to extend that approach to other visualizations. Then one day, in a sunny day, Matt asked me, Jing, do you have any ideas for visualizing data sets with a lot of dimensions. I answered him, can we rotate the data table storing such a data set by 90 degrees? Then whatever we did on data items, such as hierarchical clustering, can be conducted on dimensions. Matt said, yes, dimension is also data of some kind. Clustering the dimensions is exactly what Elka and I plan to do. So we started to build a dimension hierarchy using a hierarchical clustering algorithm based on similarities among the dimensions. Inspired by Sunburst, we built interim to visualize and interact with the dimension hierarchy. So interim soon allowed us to find that the automatically generated dimension hierarchies were not perfect. So it motivated us to create interactions in interim to allow users to interactively modify the structure of the dimension hierarchy. We also created other interactions in interim, such as the space-driven selection and the spacing, to allow users to manage to conduct dimension management tasks effectively through the hierarchy. So in 1998, Daniel Kahn and his student studied the problem with dimension similarity calculation, and they also proved that ordering dimensions based on similarity is an NP-complete problem. So in our work, we proposed a hierarchical ordering approach to order dimensions in reduced cost based on the dimension hierarchy. So we also proposed the dimension spacing, which was to vary the spacing between adjacent dimensions in parallel coordinates and star glyphs to reveal dimension similarity, and also dimension filtering to allow users to omit the similar dimensions or unimportant dimensions for less cluttered data visualization. So users can interactively conduct these operations in a scalable way through the interaction provided in interim. So looking forward, I think the blooming research in cost-effect analysis can allow us to get better visualization for data sets with both dependent variables and independent variables. Also, I think the advances in large language models can help us get a better understanding on dimension and the dimension relationships based on making use of external knowledge. So receiving this award for a work we conducted together might be the best way to memorize math for me, Wei, and Elka. So we'd like to thank all the researchers who inspired our work, the reviewers of this paper, and authors of all papers citing our paper, and as well as the award committee and the visualization community. Thank you.
All right, next up is the 10-year InfoVis Test of Time Award, and it's awarded based on the following reasoning. The multi-level typology of abstract visualization tasks is a highly influential task framework. In addition to being the most cited paper from InfoVis 2013, the typology was the foundation of Munzner's book. The fact that citations of the paper have been increasing over time is additional evidence of its lasting and growing value. Numerous subsequent papers report using the typology in their work or expanding on it for specific domains. One key insight of the work, noted in citing papers, is how tasks can be compositionally described as actions applied to targets. The Test of Time Committee found this to be a clear explanation of a compelling and broadly applicable framework. It develops useful constructs that frame what we know about a fundamental aspect of our domain, and we considered it to be a model of the model paper type. So the 10-year InfoVis Test of Time Award goes to a multi-level typology of abstract visualization tasks, and Tamara is here to accept the award.
Thank you so much. Let me start with the eloquent words of Matt Bramer, who unfortunately was not able to be here in person.
Hi, VIS community. Thanks for recognizing the value of this paper. And though I had planned to be there today with Tamara to accept this award, unfortunately COVID had other plans for my family. In my doctoral work, I initially wanted to contribute methodologically to visualization evaluation, moving beyond controlled experiments. However, I encountered a challenge in creating a consistent code set to describe visualization tasks, and this stalled my early projects. Tamara also faced this challenge in the process of writing a chapter about tasks in her book. So we delved into the literature on tasks, interactions, and goals in visualization. And while much of this appears in the paper, the definitive review is actually an annotated bibliography in my dissertation and an interactive wiki. Our paper went through multiple stages of iteration, titles, and scopes. And overall, our submission got mixed reviews at InfoVis 2013, but with revisions and a convincing letter, we got in. Presenting this paper at VIS was my first VIS talk. I'm thankful for the positive reception it received, which included the first to approach the microphone, Ben Schneiderman and Jacques McKinlay, my future colleague at Tableau. I also want to thank session chair Bangshan Li, who I would later collaborate with on many projects. Our approach to task analysis was central in my subsequent research, from formative and summative evaluation projects to design studies and quantitative experimental work, most of which appearing at VIS. Now, since its publication, I noticed that papers citing us would often use the terms from Figure 1, but would miss our approach to sequential and hierarchical task analysis. I urge new readers of this paper to press on past Figure 1. There's more to this paper than a classification and definition of terms. Finally, while directed at the VIS community, our paper isn't accessible to newcomers or practitioners, which is a challenge our field needs to face in all of our papers if we are to have broader impact. I want to thank the UBC InfoVis group, Joanna McGrenery, Ron Rensink, Colin Ware, Silvia Miksch, Tamara, of course, and my partner and colleague, Anna Maria Kashan, for their support and feedback on this work. Thank you.
So let me add my words to Matt's. First of all, I am both honored and delighted by the community response to this work. I first tried writing this paper in 1999 and gave up because I didn't know enough, and it took me decades more before I could actually think about abstract tasks. And with Matt Bramer, that was a far stronger paper than I could have ever done on my own. Task abstraction is remarkably hard because you read it when you're done and it looks so straightforward. And then on the way, there's monsters and it's a murky path to get there. And so we tried to provide some more explicit guidance on doing that. If I had a time machine, I would change one thing though. I would try to make it much more clear in the paper itself that although we spent a lot of effort constructing a vocabulary, we didn't mean that that was the end. We meant that that was the beginning. And so we wanted to have some common ground to talk about tasks. But if you think of it as a launch pad and then you keep going, in most cases, papers are going to need words beyond the specific set of action target tasks, pairs that we actually proposed in the paper. So I want to encourage people in the spirit of keep going past Figure 1, keep going past the end of the paper, and invent your own terms for abstraction as you need for particular projects. So thank you so much for the award, and have a fantastic VIS.
Great. Thanks, everyone. It's my pleasure to introduce the VAST Test of Time Award. The committee was composed of Petra Isenberg, Bangshan Li, myself, Ross Majeski, and Torsten Moller served as the chair. Our process mimicked those of SciVis and InfoVis. We had 11 candidate papers, all from VAST 2013. We chose the papers that were highly cited, more than 100 citations, as well as looking at other criteria. Every committee member ranked the papers independently, unless there was a case of a conflict. We considered the number and recency of citations. We analyzed the citations both within and outside the VIS community, considered the relevance of the technical contributions, and their impact on real-world problems. And we tried to evaluate any commercial impact that some of these projects might have had. The decision for this award was a unanimous decision. And the winner is a paper that is one of the landmark papers in urban data visualization, making several truly impressive contributions, including a query language development and the seamless integration of data querying to handle real-world, large-scale data. Utilizing taxi records from New York City, the authors engage with economists and traffic engineers to demonstrate the power of their framework. With a few case studies, they explore the economic incentives of taxi locations and how traffic patterns impact demand patterns. These contributions have situated this paper as a seminal work in urban analytics with many citations in visualization, urban planning, transportation journals, making a clear impact within and outside of the VIS community. The impact of this work is also expressed in the tremendous number of citations the paper has received thus far and still receives today. So with that said, the winner is Visual Exploration of Big Spatiotemporal Urban Data, a study of New York City taxi trips, with authors Niven, Jorge, Hui, Juliana, and Claudio. We'd like to welcome Claudio to receive the award.
Thank you, Ross. I would like to thank the community for how this work was received. This was, for us, it was a very interesting piece of work at the time. As you might recall, maybe a lot of the young people don't know this, but we are all transplants from the University of Utah. So every single author of this paper moved from Salt Lake City to New York City. And we are looking for new things to do, right? And when we get there, we also, we wanted to do something that was intrinsically enabled by the fact that we're in the city. Right? Oops, sorry, it's going the other way. So what happened is that we discovered this, it took us a little while. We noticed that there was all the New York City taxi cabs, every single trip was GPS tracked, okay? And it was available, right? So this data, it took us actually a little bit of work to try to get the data, but all of those trips were available. And we said, how can we actually visualize this data? At the time, one of the things that is it might be counterintuitive, but to a large extent, the data was not very useful to stakeholders. And the problem is that they couldn't really interact with it, they couldn't query it, they couldn't really do anything, right? So the plot that you see here on the bottom here, this is 2 full years worth of data. Each one of these plots actually has nearly 200 million taxi trips. So just doing this plot, if you kind of like try to script this, would take like 10 minutes, okay? Right? So one of the things is how do we make this data useful was really what our team, was trying to tackle. And what we wanted to do is to enable the truly interactive exploration of this data. This turned out to be the very first paper that our group published when we moved to New York. So this was the first paper, of VIDA. And this was a true collaboration between the visualization team and the data management team, okay? We needed to come up with a new expressive visual language for this. We needed to come up with new indexing schemes for the data. It was a humongous amount of effort that the team was able to do in a very, very short time and to prototype the system. It actually, it was amazing when the system, another thing that was very complicated here was actually the system issues related to this. So there were even techniques from graphics that made into this, like level of detail. So the system uses level of detail to enable that the queries are always interactive. And the user gets interactive response. And some of this was, a lot of this, the interactive was impacted by Jeff's work on Jeff Hare's work on quantifying that you had to provide the user with input really, really quickly. As I'll show you in a second, this was adopted by New York City agencies, and this work actually opened the doors to all of us for work with agencies. This was such a big part of the initial creation of the Center for Urban Science and Progress. The director for CASP would use our results in every single presentation. And then the other thing that this did is that it really, what we learned in this paper effectively shaped the next decade of research in the lab. And the taxi data, you cannot see this because of the, became our Utah teapot or Stanford bunny, right? It was our to-go data set. So I'll just show you like a little bit of the impact. So after we are done with the system, about the same month that we were presenting this at VIS, we showed this, we went back to the Taxi and Limousine Commission, and we presented this one day, and then we left. And then the next day we get this message. And it was wonderful. So the people there, they said like, we are truly blown away, right? They actually at the time, they didn't have any Macs, and our initial system only worked on a Mac. They actually purchased Macs to use. And then the other thing that happened is that then they started actually talking to other agencies about the impact of such a system. So here is a quote from the Assistant Commissioner that, you know, so this was kind of like part of the impact of this work for us was just kind of like the way that the city agencies were using it. But then actually kind of like a lot of our urban visualization work got kind of like caught up by the news media, and you know, and I think you can find this online. I feel that one of the things that was the most important to us was actually how this shaped our whole computer science and visualization research agenda. And I say computer science because actually where the posterior work got published, you can see things all the way from a number of VIS papers, Sky papers. You can see the Urban Toolkit that is published by Nivan and colleagues there. There are papers at SIGMOD. So it really was very interesting that the things that we learned in the process of actually tackling what was a real problem to a very important data set kind of like grew into kind of like a whole research area for us. So I want to, I think on behalf of all my co-authors, I want to thank the community. Has been wonderful being part of this community, and we really built on the work that a lot of other people have done here in this work on SciVis. So thank you. I think there was a thank you there, but it's not showing up. So thank you very much.
All right, let's give one more round of applause for all of our award winners today. Did you want to say anything? So thank you. I think this concludes Test of Time, and I'll turn it back over to Tim.
Thank you very much, everybody. We're just running about 15 minutes behind, so we'll probably go and enjoy the coffee, and please come back at 11:15.